Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another super exciting one because I am going to be trying some single shadows from Sydney Grace. This is a brand that I have wanted to try for the longest time, and I have heard nothing but great things about the quality of their eyeshadows. I love following their Instagram where they do like dupe palettes of other popular palette releases, and single shadows are something that are fascinating to me and that really interest me, but not something that I've really started to dip my toe into or start collecting at all. But I was very fortunate to receive some Sydney Grace shadows from my beautiful, sweet, kind friend Laura. Her handle is Just Beauty with Laura, and I will have her tagged and linked in the description box below so you all can go and show her some love. She heard in one of my recent videos when I mentioned Sydney Grace among some of the makeup brands that I hadn't tried yet. She is a huge fan of Sydney Grace, and she asked me if it would be okay if she sent me some shadows. To which, of course, I was like, are you sure? Don't worry, you don't have to do that. But yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And she sent me a little bundle of shadows for an early birthday present. So thank you so much to Laura for sending these shadows my way. She is the reason why I'm able to film this video today and why I'm able to try Sydney Grace for the first time. So that is what we're going to be doing. I am going to go through and show you all the shades that she sent my way. We're going to do some swatches. And then I'm going to do one look today, and then I may come back and do a couple more looks to include within this video because she sent me quite a few options to choose from. Again, so grateful to you, Laura. I am so excited to get these shadows on my eyes. I have managed to somehow restrain myself from digging my little fingers into them and swatching them until right this minute. So I am just desperate to get going with this video. So I think that we should jump on in. So let's get started with some swatches. So the bundle that Laura sent me came with a little palette. It's very cute. It's got a nice mirror in here, which I'm going to cover so that the light doesn't burn your eyes. And then a nice little magnetic palette here where you can click the single shadows in. They're all magnetized, and I actually had more shadows than would even fit in here, so I ended up grabbing out another one of my magnetic palettes that I had in my collection to put some of the other ones in for now. And I was sort of playing around with some color stories for potential looks that I might want to do. So you'll notice I have a green trio here, and then I was playing around with some of the more neutral shades that Laura sent in this palette. So I'm going to start with the neutrals, and I will give you a close-up of what each shadow looks like, and then I will give you a swatch. So this is the shade Turtledoves. This is one of their pressed pigments, and I think this is one of the most popular Sydney Grace shades, at least from everything that I have heard about the brand. This seems to be a shade that a lot of people really love. It seems to be a gorgeous kind of champagne soft pink is what that finger swatch looks like. It is so reflective and almost like taupey silvery in the reflect. Looks like a stunning shade to put all over the lid or in the inner corner. Just give you a little swatch here. Wow, that shade really stretched as well. Like it kept on going and going as I was dragging the swatch along. So when it's swatched out, you can see that it does have a little bit of like a warmer base, which I think is going to be super flattering for kind of like a warm neutral look. In the pan, it definitely looks very taupey and silvery, but on my skin tone, it's got a bit of like a peach warmth to it. A really nice, smooth shimmer formula, so I'm excited to get that one on my eyes. This next one is a matte. It's called Darling Light, and I think it's so cool how Sydney Grace has a light and a deep version of some of their shadows, and I know they do that with their palettes as well. This one looks to be a really nice kind of rosy toned transition shade. It looks very warm, but also a little bit muted and soft. So I think it's going to be a perfect shade through the crease to just warm up a look, and also would tie in with pink and rosy looks as well. Here's that finger swatch for you. This feels so soft and just buttery from touching my finger into the pan. And I will swatch this right underneath that first shade. And again, I feel like that pigment really stretched across my arm, so that is a really good sign. This is super pigmented, but also very smooth, blendable, and yeah, so far I'm really encouraged by how these shades are swatching. No surprises there though, because I've watched 1,000 Sydney Grace videos at this point, and I feel like they always just swatch so beautifully. So hopefully that means that they will also go on beautifully to the eyes. Then we've got another pressed pigment. This is the shade Troops, and it looks to be a taupey, kind of silvery shimmer shade. It's got a good amount of depth to it. Like, it doesn't look like it's quite as light as that first shade Turtle Doves that I showed. It looks like it's gonna have a nice, almost like plummy brown undertone to it. And look at that finger swatch. I mean, is that not the most gorgeous, shiny taupe shade you've ever seen? It looks really, really reflective, but like it's got a nice deep brown plummy base to it. Oh yeah, I think you can see a little bit more of that base there in the swatch. I feel like because it's got a little bit of that plum to it as well, it's gonna sit really beautifully on the eyes and not look quite as like dusty and gray as some taupes tend to lean on me. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this one wears. It looks like it's got a little bit of gold shimmer to it as well, which might also help to just kind of warm things up a little bit and make it really, really flattering on my skin tone, my undertones, and maybe bring my eye color out as well. Then we've got a few more mattes. This is the shade Hot Chocolate, which looks like the most beautiful, just chocolatey, warm brown matte shade, which is the type of shade I love to use to deepen up the outer corner, or even as like a liner shade. I feel like this would be really, really pretty. Swatching so smooth and buttery soft again. And here is how it looks on the arm. That is so stunning. It's nice and warm. I already love the way that looks with that shade Troops. I feel like it's gonna warm that shade up nicely too in a look when they're paired together. So that is stunning. I love, as we know very well on this channel, I love a nice matte eyeshadow. So sometimes I get just as excited about the mattes as I do about the shimmers. Then we've got another deep, rich brown matte shade. This one's a little bit more cool toned. It's called All Mine Deep. So remember I was mentioning that Sydney Grace does a light and a deep version of a lot of their shades and in their palettes too. So this is one of the deep versions of this shade. So rich, again, like a perfect outer corner shade. I think this one would be an excellent liner shade too. I can see it with like a really nice smoked out liner look for a gorgeous glam neutral eye. Here's that finger swatch for you. I mean, this pigmentation is just so totally impressive. Here is the arm swatch. That looks, again, like it's going to blend beautifully with the other shades that I've already swatched for you, but like this little trio, I feel like would be a perfect brown, neutral, smoky eye kind of a look. So excited for that. Okay, and then we've got another even deeper shimmer. This one is another pressed pigment in the shade Eclipse. And this one looks even deeper brown, like a very, very deep version of that shade Troops. Kind of got like a taupey sort of shine to it, but much, much richer and deeper and darker. Oh yeah, you can see in the finger swatch that taupe kind of shine really coming through. I can already tell that's going to pair beautifully with that taupey shade Troops that I swatched a little earlier. Wow, that swatched like a dream. So buttery, so pigmented, and so, so pretty. It's a little bit more cool toned than some of these other two mattes, so it's gonna make a perfect cool tone pairing, as I mentioned, with that shade Troops. Stunning. I cannot wait to do a cool neutral brown smoky eye with these shades. I mean, the looks are just honestly building themselves, truly. And speaking of cool tones, we've got a couple more mattes. This one is the shade Speedway, which is a really cool tone, kind of slate gray transition shade. This one appears in a lot of the Duping the Vibes like palettes that I've seen Sydney Grace do. So I'm excited to have this as a cool tone transition. It looks like the perfect kind of concrete color to pair with those shimmers if I want them to ring in a little more cool toned. And here is the arm swatch. You can see that's like a really, it's kind of close to my skin tone. So that's going to make for a really nice transition through the crease. And when I see it swatched out on my skin, it almost has a touch of rosiness to it. I'm not doing a very good job with my angling of the swatches, but hopefully you can see how that just kind of, I don't know. It complements my skin tone in a way. It's just like a touch deeper, but it's got a little bit of rosiness to it as well, kind of like my skin does. A little bit of that like rosy cool undertone that I think my skin has. This one is another matte called Grounds, so sort of another cool toned brown shade that I think will pair beautifully with the shade Speedway to kind of deepen things up. Looks like a perfect cool toned deepening shade. And here it is next to Speedway. So you can see we've got some warmer browns here, and then we've got some much more cool tone browns here. So I love, thank you, Laura, for sending me a warm and a cool toned kind of pairing to go with each of these shimmers, because I feel like all of these shimmers could look more warm or more cool depending on what shades you pair them with. And that is everything that I've got in my little neutral palette here. I don't know about you, but like all of these shades together, it's kind of giving me like Natasha Denona I Need a Nude vibes, or maybe the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. I feel like there's some real similarities in the tones and the shimmers and even like the mattes, like this rosier matte. I think both of those palettes has like a rosier matte like that. So I'm really, really excited to play with these more neutral shades. And then Laura, because she is an angel and she gets me, she also sent me some more like grungy green tones, which I cannot wait to get on my eyes. So I just put these in my other little extra palette here so I could see them together. We've got a pressed pigment in the shade Commission, which is like a dirty vintage kind of a gold. But when you look at it, it has a bit of green to it. Like there's some green reflect going on in here. I can't wait to swatch this one. The shine on this shade is incredible. Look how stunning. And you can really see how olivey this shade pulls when it's swatched as well. It's just the most gorgeous olive gold I have ever seen. I'm just obsessed with how olivey this is. Like if you look at it in the pan, you might think it's just like another standard gold kind of shimmer shadow. But the olive tone of this is everything. We have to swatch it. Oh yeah. Against my skin tone too, you can see how olivey that pulls and how stunning it is. I can't. I think that might be one of my perfect eyeshadow shades. Like seriously, I love it. Then we've got a matte in the shade General, which is a matte kind of olivey green. Again, a perfect pairing. Laura has done an excellent job of curating me a palette with lots of looks ready to go. Look how perfect that is. Perfect olivey tone matte. This is what I wanted the Natasha Denona mini retro. You know, there's a green in that one. That is the color I wanted that green shade to be. And it always looked way too gray toned on me, but now I have my perfect olive toned matte shade. Okay, so last but certainly not least is the shade Timber. This is another pressed pigment and it is magic. It is such a stunning emerald green shimmer. It looks like the deep green that's in one of the Pat McGrath motherships. Is it the Subliminal palette? The one that has the green in it that I've always wanted. Absolutely freaking stunning. Like, look at that shine. If this is not the perfect shade for the holiday season, I just don't know what is. I love, love, love how shiny and reflective that is. I have room for one more swatch. Here we go. Oh my gosh, it's almost like shifty in the way that it catches the light. There's like a nice deep, almost black base to it, and then the green is really nice and reflective and gorgeous. I'm sorry that I have to hold my arm like this to show you the swatches. I was too excited. I didn't think about the positioning of the swatches on my arm, but this is the color palette that we are working with my new little Sydney Grace Single Shadows collection. So let's get my hair clipped back. I'm going to zoom you in, and then we are going to do a look together using these shadows, and I could not be more excited. All right, so I have primed my eyes as I normally do with the Ulta Beauty Matte Eyeshadow Primer and set with my Pat McGrath Blurring Under Eye Setting Powder. And my heart is telling me to go in with the cool tones and just go for it with a neutral, cool tone neutral smoky eye. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start with that lighter cool tone matte shade called Speedway, and I am going to put that through my crease. So I can already tell that the single shadow life is somewhat addicting. Now that I have like a little collection started, I'm like obsessed, and I go on the Sydney Grace website all the time, and I feel like there's just an entirely new world of eyeshadow that I haven't discovered yet, which is both amazing and also terrifying. But I would love to know if y'all have Sydney Grace shadows, what your favorite shades are, or just single shadows in general. Like if you have a favorite single shadow in your collection, please comment, because you know I'm about to go look at it on my laptop and probably add it to my wish list. So far, so good on that matte shade. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything different, but it's going on really smoothly. It seems very buildable and blendable, which is exactly what I like in a matte. And I feel like that's given me a nice bit of contour and structure to my crease. So now with a slightly smaller brush, but still fluffy, I'm gonna go in with that slightly deeper cool tone matte called Grounds, and use that to start building up the crease. So these shadows came at the perfect time. I think Laura technically was sending them for my birthday, which is not until the 19th of December, so I got to cheat and open a birthday gift a little bit early, but I have been convinced. I talk with my friend Lexi about this all the time. I've been trying to get my head around the fact that I could be a cool toned eyeshadow girly, going back in with that brush and a little bit of Speedway just to blend those two shades together. I don't really have many cool tones in my collection. I mean, I obviously have some, but I've always gone toward warm tones. I think because warm tones were really like the popular thing when I first started getting into makeup. Like the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette was my favorite palette for years and years and years, and I still do really love warm tones. And I think, let's get the record straight, I think anybody can wear anything. You can wear any colors that make you happy. And whatever you like to wear is fine. I don't think we should, I don't know, limit ourselves, but I had sort of been unconsciously avoiding cool tones because I feel like I've just sort of been avoiding cool tones all this time, and I might actually really like cool tones. Like this right now, I'm loving, and this is pretty cool toned, I would say. So I guess I'm on a bit of a journey into cool tones and trying them out after avoiding them for all this time out of fear that I would look dead. But I think cool tone eyeshadow is beautiful, especially like these taupey kinds of shades that Laura sent to me. So thank you so much, Laura. It's almost like you read my mind. And yeah, these came at the perfect time when I've been itching to try cool tones again. All right, so I think I'm just gonna take a little bit of this shade All Mine and use that almost as like a liner shade. Just give myself a smoked out lash line before I go in with the shimmers. I'll just apply that and then take my smaller fluffy brush to kind of blend that in. Beautiful. While I'm doing the mattes, I'm just going to take a little bit of that shade on the lower lash line as well to connect up to the outer corner, just going about halfway. And then I'll take a little bit of that shade Grounds to just softly blend that out. Okay, I am loving the way those mattes are looking so far. So now I'm just going to take my finger and go into the shade Eclipse, which was that really, really deep, rich, cool tone brown shimmer. And I'm just going to put that on the outer half of my lid. Truly so, so pretty. And pretty much no fallout with applying that with my finger and no glitter glue or anything. I'm gonna go back in with my little brush and blend out that edge. Okay, and then I'm gonna take that shade Troops, which was that lighter, taupier shimmer that looks just stunning. And I'm gonna put that through the front half of my lid and kind of blend the two together in the middle. And that applied perfectly. I mean, so impactful and so smooth on my lid. Oh my gosh, I can already tell I'm gonna get a lot of use out of that shade. It's beautiful. It reminds me a bit of the shade that Lauren May Beauty developed for her collab palette with Odin's Eye, the Sea Talk palette. But this one's even a little bit more neutral. That one kind of leaned a little bit too purpley. And this one is that perfect kind of neutral taupe, like a true taupe. Stunning. I'm just gonna take my big fluffy blending brush and blend everything one more time. And I'll just grab a little bit of Turtle Doves for an inner corner pop. And I'm debating whether or not to put any shimmer on the lower lash line. I think we should just go for it. I think we should just, why not? So I'm just gonna take a little bit of Troops on my pinky and just try to keep that pretty close to my lash line here. Oh yeah, I really like that. I like the little added sparkle that that brings. So pretty. So here is the look before mascara. I'm gonna run and go put some mascara on, and then I will be back to show you the finished cool neutral smoky glam Sydney Grace look. All right, I am back with mascara on, and I actually added some liner because I felt like this look just really called for it. It's very smoky and kind of gunmetal, so I went with a black liner. This is the 20-Hour Ultra Precision Gel Eye Pencil from Catrice in the shade Black, and I feel like it just really tied the look together. And then I went in with my Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water mascara, which I've really been loving recently. It's a tubing mascara, but it still gives a good amount of volume and drama to the lashes, and this look definitely needs a volume and drama. It's definitely a smoky one and very glam for my plans this evening, which are to sit on my couch and watch a cheesy Hallmark Christmas movie. But yeah, I don't have a negative thing to say about my first time trying Sydney Grace shadows. The mattes went on easily, flawlessly, beautifully. They blended really well. They were buildable. They blended together well, and just a joy to use. And the shimmers really pack a punch just applied with a finger. I feel like, yeah, the shimmer formula really stands up to the hype that has been built around Sydney Grace for me. These are definitely high quality shimmers. The pressed pigment formula is stunning, and you just need the tiniest little bit on your finger to make a huge statement across your entire lid. So I am so excited to try the rest of the shadows. I am going to come back over the next couple of days and put together some looks with the shadows that I haven't used yet and show off the rest of the shadows that Laura so graciously sent my way. So I'm excited to see the rest of the shadows and put together some more looks. But until then, I'm gonna go find myself a cheesy Christmas movie and curl up on the couch and just wear this makeup look while I'm sipping my hot chocolate and then take it off and go to bed. So I will pass you on to the next one. All right, I'm back for another look using my Sydney Grace shadows. I actually used this shade Grounds for my brows today, and I think it looks like a pretty good match for my brow hair. So that's always nice. I am getting ready pretty quickly here because I've got to jump on a meeting in a minute, so I need to make this fast. I'm just going to do a quick and easy neutral everyday look for work. So dipping into the shade Hot Chocolate, which is this kind of medium toned warm brown. I'm just going to throw that into the crease. I'm also going to take a little bit of that shade on the lower lash line. Then I'm going to grab a dab of the shade All Mine and put a tiny bit of depth in my outer corner, nothing too dramatic for the day-to-day. Gonna blend that with that first shade with my fluffy brush. And with whatever's left on my brush, I'll just take a little bit of that on the lower lash line as well. Okay, and then I'm just gonna grab Turtle Doves and I'm gonna put that all over my lid. This is a perfect everyday shimmer for a really pretty neutral look. It still catches the light beautifully and really brings some light to the eyes, but it's nothing too deep or heavy. I love it. And I love this. This is exactly the kind of looks that I love to wear on an everyday basis for work. So I'm gonna go do some mascara and then I'll be back to show you the finished look and go to my meeting. Okay, and here is the finished look with mascara. I can tell this is a look that I'm gonna have on repeat because it's so easy to just throw on in a couple minutes and look polished and put together and ready for the day. So that is look number 2. I'm going to run to my meeting and I will pass you on to the next one. All right, I'm back and it is time to finally play with these greens. Let's zoom in and get to it. I'm gonna take a little bit of Speedway through the crease again just to kind of have a transition there. This is just such a nice, like, true contour color on my skin tone, so I feel like it goes with any eyeshadow look as a way to just add some structure and dimension in from the start. All right, and then I'm gonna go into General, which is that beautiful olive green matte, and I'm gonna start placing this in the crease and then on the outer corner as well, and just blending that out. I feel like I just want to build up that outer corner a little bit more, so I'm just gonna go back in and really kind of patting that in and then blending. And that way it kind of looks like I have 2 green shadows, a lighter and a deeper, even though I really only have the one. And then I will just go back in with my initial blending brush to blend out those edges a little bit. All right, so now it's time for the shimmers. I'm going to start with the deeper green. This is the shade Timber, just on my finger. And I'm going to put that on the outer half of my eye here. It's just such a pretty shade. Still not over it. It almost gives me like mermaid vibes. Like it's very like foresty and forest fairy, but something in the tone of the shimmer also reminds me of, I don't know, a mermaid, the ocean. It's almost got like a teal shift to it that's really, really beautiful. I'm just gonna take a little bit more of that shade General to blend out the edges of that shade. Okay, and then over the rest of the lid, I'm gonna take Commission, which is this gorgeous greeny olivey gold. So reflective. And I'm just gonna put that through the inner half and then kind of blend it with that deeper green in the middle. So just kind of using my finger to blend the two together. I love how green that shade Commission shows up on the eye. It's definitely got gold to it too, but primarily I see green, which makes me really happy because I've got a lot of golds in my collection. And to be honest, I'm not even the biggest fan of wearing like a really strong like orangey gold, but I am a huge fan of wearing like olivey green tones. I think I might have gone a little bit too high with my crease blending, which is not uncommon for me. Sometimes I go a little overboard, so I'm just going to take a fluffy brush into a face powder. This one is my Kosas powder. Go over those edges, and sometimes that can help to diffuse the areas where I got a little overexcited. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. So for the lower lash line, I kind of want to bring this shade Timber in a little bit more. So I'm going to take some on a brush, and I'm going to put that along the lower lash line. It's actually a really pretty lower lash line shade. And I think I'll just flip the brush over and softly blend those edges. And then just for fun, why not? I'm going to take a little bit more of the olive gold shade Commission and put that right at the front of the lower lash line here to tie that in nicely. Okay, and then for an inner corner, I'm going to go back in to the shade Turtle Doves and just pop that right in that inner corner space. I feel like I could actually use a little bit of a brighter inner corner, so I'm just going to grab one from another palette. This is the Pat McGrath Celestial Odyssey, and there's just like a really bright champagne-y shade in here, so I'm going to use that over the top of Turtle Doves just for a little bit of extra light and pop. And here is how that is looking. I am going to go do eyeliner and mascara, and I need to put a lip on. I forgot. I'm going to put a lip on as well, and then I will be back to show you the final look and also close out this video. All right, so here is the finished look. Is it just me, or did this turn out stunning? I am just in love with how green this look turned out. I know I said this like 1,000 times in this video, but looking at this shade Commission in particular, it doesn't look like it's gonna be as green as it looks on the eyes, and I am so pleasantly surprised by that, but I also feel like depending on what you pair it with, it could pull a little bit more gold versus in this look I paired it with all greens. So now I'm gonna have to try putting the shade on with all neutrals to see how that looks. Either way, this is definitely a standout shade from Sydney Grace in my opinion. I feel like it's very quote unquote wearable for every day. Like I said, if you mixed it with neutrals on the eye, but also you can get a stunning green look like this that's really, really impactful. I do feel like I put on the perfect eyeliner for this look. I used the Catrice 20 Hour Ultra Precision Gel Eye Pencil in the shade. Okay, I took the sticker off, so now I can't find the shade, but I'll have it listed in the description box for you because I feel like it's honestly the perfect eyeliner to pair with that shade Timber. Like it's got that similar, almost like bluish tone to it. I'm not sure if you're even going to be able to see that in the swatch, but just know it goes perfectly with the shade Timber. It's even got a little bit of that like shimmer to it to match. So I had to put this one on in the waterline and a little bit on the outer corner of my lash line. And then I just used my Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water mascara again. This was such a fun video. I feel like all of these looks came together so easily, which is really nice. And I got a full gradient. I got a really beautiful neutral glam. I got a really easy neutral everyday look yesterday. And then today I've gotten a colorful glam. Part of that is down to the stellar color story that Laura sent to me. So I have to say thank you again to Laura. This is an amazing birthday present, and I know I'm going to treasure these shadows. They're going to become go-tos in my collection. I'm traveling for the holidays, and I'm already planning on bringing this little guy with me because I just know I'm going to get so much use out of these. And so far, so good with my experience with Sydney Grace. I frankly can't wait to try more shades. They have so many shades of eyeshadow on their website. If you're ever bored and you want something to look at, I literally just scroll on their website and look at all the different shades that they have, and they do like monthly bundles and all kinds of fun things. So I know I'm very late to the party on Sydney Grace, so I'm probably telling you things you already know. Once again, please let me know in the comments if you've tried Sydney Grace, your thoughts on the brand, if you have favorite shades that are like your must-tries from them. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. If you did, please give it a like if you liked it, and subscribe before you go if you'd like to see more eyeshadow content from me or content about project panning or just makeup in general. I hope you are all taking good care of yourselves as we enter into the holiday season, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.